Welcome back. Today, as promised, was our trip to Lutz Antiques, the little road trip I promised, to a real antique store with real furniture. So, when we get back, yes, all right. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. And the beginning for me in this store was walking up to the entry. And I've passed this place, I don't know how many times before I first stopped in, because I had no idea. I saw the sign, it said Lutz Antiques, but the things that were out in front were a little different. So let's take, yes, okay. Yes, all right, here you go. Say hi. Yeah, there we go. All right, the things that were outside are very different from the things that were inside, so let's take a look.
Well, I'm probably going to have to yell so that you can hear me over the traffic, but this is Lutz Antiques from the outside. Not a very prepossessing building, and certainly no indication of what they have available on the inside. And for that reason, I passed by this place many, many times without going in.
Well, they were very gracious about allowing me to film. They were actually pretty excited about it. So, first thing I did, okay, get your toy. First thing I did when I went in was took a look around their sort of entryway. And they have all kinds of different things there. And the first piece that really caught my eye was a little inlaid desk that was very unusual because it had a large storage bin in it. So let's take a look at that.
Let's start off with this, which is the first piece that caught my eye. It's a very pretty little inlaid desk. And we have a compartment here, a couple of drawers. Got a drawer here, but this is the interesting thing. This large storage space in here. Nice piece. $3.45. The inlay is in pretty good shape overall, considering the age of the piece. There are some problems here. Things like that are very easy to restore or repair.
Now, I have seen pieces like that with large storage bins built into them, but ordinarily what they were was sewing chests so that you could sort of pile fabric in. This one definitely did not appear to be a sewing chest. It certainly looked like what they said it was, which was a desk, but that large sort of rounded storage bin still has me a little confused. It's sort of like, you know, if you have trouble organizing your thoughts, you start writing, you crumple up the paper and want a wastebasket handy. Anyway, very pretty piece. And as I mentioned in the film that I took, the damage to the inlay is remarkably easy to fix. Ordinarily, when you have inlay problems, all you really need to do is drop a nice hot iron, put a cloth on it, drop a nice hot iron on it. And the reason that works is because the glue that is holding the inlay in place will sort of reconstitute itself when it's heated up and it regains its adhesion. And then just by pressing it, you can push the inlaid wood back into position, because very often inlays come up as a result of moisture. That's probably the most common, which is not to say that, a 5-year-old doesn't get in there with a spoon and pick it off. I've seen that happen. But usually it's moisture getting underneath that bit of inlaid wood. The wood then begins to buckle from the moisture because it expands, and then when it dries, it sort of has a wrinkled, crumpled look to it. But in most cases, it's a really easy fix. So if I were interested in a piece like that, the damage to the inlay would not put me off, because I have an iron, I have an old dish towel. All right, next up. Oh, yes. It was hard to miss this piece because the sun was coming through the window. It's a big, beautiful piece of stained glass there, which does not look very old to me, although I didn't examine it carefully. And in front of that was a really pretty piece. So let's take a look at this.
Okay, right here, standing out conspicuously in front of the stained glass window, is a walnut. Well, they're calling it an étagère. I would call it a whatnot. That is, in fact, what the Victorians called it. And this is a late Victorian piece. Very interesting turnings.
As I mentioned, Victorians called those étagères or display shelves whatnots. They came in all kinds of styles. Corner whatnots were actually remarkably popular, and then as time passed, whatnots did two things. They became smaller and larger. So a medium-sized whatnot started to sort of pass away, and tiny whatnots that could be shoved into corners and hold your little figurines became popular. Also, much larger whatnots that would hold huge vases or big plates on stands, that sort of thing became popular. But the mid-sized whatnots, and that was what I showed you, sort of fell out of fashion. Not sure why, but it was just interesting. They either became big or small, but that in-between size was no longer a big deal. And who knows, could very well be that things like central heating, a designated parlor as opposed to just a multi-purpose room became fashionable. Probably just changes in the way people lived made a larger whatnot, which would have prominence, for example, in a dining room, or a smaller whatnot that could fill out a tiny corner. That became all the rage. Oh, yeah. I just looked at my notes because this is how I know what's coming up next in order. I have had my eye on this rug, and I swear the next time I go in, I'm just going to ask them if, they want to put a price on it. This is such a nice little piece. Now, it's not in great shape. The fringe is coming off, but I do know how to repair rugs. So take a look at this piece.
And I have to admit, I have always eyed this little rug. It's beautiful, but it doesn't seem to be for sale. So, here, this wonderful little bird design. No idea how old it is. I would be betting 1920s. There's something very Art Deco in this piece.
Now, is that great or what? That is something that, seriously, I would be happy to just pick it up off the floor, roll it up, shove it in my real nifty vintage bag, and as we all know, that's what I shop with, and take it on home with me. That is a nice piece, and it's very Art Deco. They loved exotic birds. That was a thing. Peacocks and birds of paradise, and actually that's a flower. Maybe there's a bird. I don't know. Big birds, long tails. Lisa, help me out here. She's my go-to person for interesting large tropical birds. No idea what kind of bird that is. Could be completely made up. But they were extremely popular in the Art Deco period. That is an Art Deco rug. It's probably only about maybe, I don't know, I'm going to say 1 foot by 3 foot. Rugs are divided into class sizes, and 1 by 3 is a class size. And that means any rug that vaguely matches those dimensions will be called a 1 by 3. Even if it's, 10 inches by 40 inches, it's still going to be 1 by 3. And rugs like that were used just as that rug was used, in front of a doorway. I have doors. I need that rug. I really do think I'm going to ask them about it next time. Okay. The next piece, I had to sort of back myself into a corner just to be able to get it all in the frame. So take a look.
Well, I've got myself all backed up into a corner so I can get this entire piece into the shot. This is a mahogany bookcase. This is Empire styling. However, I would bet this is from one of the revival periods, 1930s, 1940s. Let's take a peek down here. $635. Really nice condition. Especially all of this beautiful filigree work. And we have nice paw feet here. Nice piece. $635, yeah, it's worth it. And this, this is a little oak cigar cabinet. $295. See, the thing about pieces like this is they're very rare. You don't just find them anywhere you go. So a piece like this can command a higher price. Now, we've got a little sort of plaque here that one could engrave. See here as well. Nice piece. If you look on the outside, you see an arts and crafts style. But when you look at the brass work on the inside, there we go, it's not arts and crafts style. So, interesting piece. Definitely worth a look at.
Very, very nice piece. Probably a revival piece. In the 1930s and 40s, they manufactured furniture in earlier styles. You see a lot of Gothic revival pieces from that period. You see a lot of things like Chippendale style pieces in that period. And we've discussed this in the past. The need they had, and I understand this, that was a period between 2 world wars. When you get into the 1940s, in some parts of the world, you were well into World War II. For us, it was just beginning, or in the later 40s, ending. Remember, other than Pearl Harbor, not to dismiss Pearl Harbor, but other than Pearl Harbor, this is a war that was really not fought on our soil. So our experience of the Second World War was very different from the French, the British, etc. People in periods like that seem to have a strong emotional need for security, for grandma's furniture, things that give them comfort. And we had discussed this particularly in terms of the artwork of Frank Moss Bennett. And if you're interested in this, I can do something on that, because I've got his pieces all over the place. Well, reproductions of his pieces. And they were English hunt scenes. That's what he was really known for. Initially, he was a portrait artist, so the faces on these hunt scenes are very good. But the portraits he did were immediately following the First World War, and they were, for the most part, portraits of deceased people, of young men who had died in the war. And he went off on a different style in that interwar period, and people just scooped those paintings up. And the prints sold widely. You saw those prints everywhere, because people were hearkening back to a safer, calmer, more romantic era. The Frank Moss Bennett pieces are, sort of British man cave, the tufted leather sofa and the hunt painting on the wall. But it's something that we see in periods around times of war, that people will just gravitate toward earlier styles, things that give them comfort, things that remind them of grandma, things that say to them, life is not crazy, And I understand that. I mean, we're in one of those crazy times right now. Who knows what we're going to end up looking for? All right, away from the bookcase, let's take a look at the record player.
Now this is an old record player, or Victrola. Those little slot shelves are where they kept the records. They were all 78s in those days, and they were stored flat, one on top of the other, which we wouldn't do today, but they didn't know any better. Beautiful oak. Let me get in here and... Beautiful, beautiful quarter sawn oak. And this is $2.95.
Well, the thing about this record player, obviously, is it's a beautiful case piece. Just the cabinetry is lovely. The gorgeous oak, just beautiful. The fact that it is in very much what the original condition would have been is really nice, because very often when you find pieces like this, they've been gutted. The record player no longer works. They've been taken apart. They've been turned into bookcases or whatever. So that is a really nice little piece. And I just absolutely adored the oak. That was really what turned me on about that. So next up, yet another piece. This is a large case piece. Now, Lutz doesn't only have large case pieces, although it's pretty much what I'm showing you today. They have smaller pieces, and as you saw from the table and chairs that I saw over at Bedford, and that would have been a few days ago, it's not just dressers and cabinetry, but this was a really wonderful piece. So let's take a look.
More oak. This is actually a corner cabinet. So let's take a look at the top where you can really see that. It would have slid into a corner. It's got the beautiful old beveled mirrors, a spot for your whatever gewgaw. This is applied decoration. Very pretty. $950. May sound high, but
if you have a nice empty corner, oh my, wouldn't that fill it out beautifully? The piece was in very good condition, and large pieces like that, cabinets, bookcases, they're popular. People love them. A bookcase will be your quickest selling case piece. So that was just really great. And right across from that was a beautiful Art Deco piece. So let's take a look at this.
And how about a little Art Deco? Look at that. Beautiful curved lines, the round mirror. And let's go over and take a closer look. $270. There are parts of the country where a deco piece like this would not last 5 minutes on a sales floor at that price.
That was just so deco. It's like, boy, it just screams, I just came out of Jean Harlow's bedroom. You know, lovely piece, beautiful deco lines, just very classic Art Deco with that round mirror and the curved sides. Just great piece. The final piece that we are going to take a look at today, and it's not the final piece that I filmed, it's just that I gotta draw a line somewhere. So I will show you the rest of them. The final piece is another piece from the 1930s or 40s. And again, it's a sort of revival piece. Now, I screwed up, and I kept referring to that as a cabinet. Now, you'll see why, but it was actually a dresser. So let's take a look.
Let's slide in and take a look at the little pediment on the back of this cabinet before we take a look at the whole thing. This is a really nice cabinet. It is marked 1930s, and I would bet serious money that that's absolutely correct. It has drawers, so it's like a dresser, although right here, as you can see, this section of the drawers is designed to create the impression of cabinet doors. Really nice piece. So let's go take a look. $265. Yum. And now this, $320. And this is a mahogany double serpentine bonnet chest. This is what my grandmother would have called a chifforobe. And those of you who have read To Kill a Mockingbird will remember that a chifforobe figured prominently in the plot. This is what they looked like, a high dresser. And you have a mirror on the top. Beautiful piece. Really nice. Now, here, this is something that I've spoken about. When going into an antique shop, if you feel the furniture is just reeking of polish or scratch cover, take a step back. That's not the case with this. I can see a watermark here, a light scratch there. No, I don't think they're using furniture polish to cover up any problems. I just think they're taking pretty good care of their stuff. Oh, and here, let's take a look at that on top of the mirror. Very sweet.
Now, the reason I kept referring to it as a cabinet, I'm sure you noticed, is that bottom sort of false cabinet front. Now, those are drawers, just, one right after the other, but it had that that sort of faux cabinet door effect. That is something that was, I don't want to say very common. It wasn't very common, but you saw it a great deal in furniture from that period when they were trying to reproduce the look of older pieces, but while doing so, they wanted the piece to be modern enough so that it would be useful to the people who would be buying it. So a piece like that, designed to look like a cabinet, but actually being a dresser, and it's a tall dresser. It's a high bureau. That's the word I'm looking for, bureau. Now, I don't know how correct this is, and I'm going to have to look it up. When I was younger, a dresser was a low piece of furniture about 30, maybe 36 inches tall. It was sort of low and long, whereas a bureau was tall and sort of skinny. So that's how I learned them. The problem with that is I'm quite sure I learned that from furniture ads, because when I was younger, and I don't watch a lot of television now, but the last time I did, I couldn't help but notice there were very few ads for furniture. When I was young, furniture, well, it was a much more important item. Furniture was more expensive, it was a more thought out purchase, and it was much more heavily advertised. So, who knows what that means? I'm sure it says something and we'll figure it out. Okay, so that was the Lutz trip, and I really had to work to cram this much into a single video. I have another at least 30 minutes of film, and I barely scratched the surface. I should have budgeted twice as much time for that trip, maybe more. So, if you like what you saw, let me know, because I got no problem going back there. I could look at that stuff all day long, and as you know, I'm really interested in seeing if they want to sell that little rug. All right, let's take a quick look at our beautiful horizon pictures from JLS. And remember, the giveaway is still going on. So I will, as always, pin a comment that will link you over to the eBay store. Take a look. Beautiful, beautiful stuff there. All right, and don't forget to enter the giveaway. Okay, again, as I say, if you like this and you want to see more, I probably, between this and the next video that will come up, I probably caught maybe a quarter of, and mind you, I didn't film everything that was there. I probably went through a quarter of their stock and filmed the most interesting things for you. So, again, you like this? No problem going back. And give this some thought, too. Well, we can go in there, because they'll let us film. We can go in there and start opening drawers, looking at joints, and talk about how to buy antique furniture, what to look for, what to expect in terms of prices, and where you're going to find the best buys. Because the reason you should consider buying antique furniture is because this bookcase behind me, I've had that since I was in my very early 20s. It's been with me pretty much my entire adult life. If you buy nice old furniture, you're going to have it forever. Your grandkids are going to have it. Nice old furniture is an investment. Modern furniture gets thrown away, given away, whatever. It comes and goes. But the nice old stuff, it's around for a while. All right. Have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow.